Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Speaking of Zane. In fact, this is the 281st edition of Speaking of Zane. We've been at this since August the 5th of 2018. That was about what was it? Let me think about this. 2 years and 7 months-ish after Zane passed. And on a Sunday night, I just had a feeling that I wanted to talk about him, and I got on here and started bloviating, and the rest is history, as they say. 281 editions of Speaking of Zane. Good to have everybody in here. I know it's odd. It's a Monday night. Usually we do this on Sunday night, but I'll tell you what, sometimes it takes, sometimes I'm not in the mood. And last night I just was not in the groove. I just didn't feel really in the groove for speaking of Zane. Now, I've been on the road a little bit and this, that, and the other, and not to make excuses, but I just didn't feel like I could give it everything that I wanted to. So we moved it out, and we've done that a number of times over the years. Moved out to Monday night, and I know it's a little bit out of sequence, but hopefully some folks will tune in or watch the recording and see what the heck is going on here at the fabulous McDonald Estate and Insane Asylum, where really our primary goal is to really keep Zane's memory alive. We just couldn't bear the thought that he would just be forgotten. He was only here for 26 years, and in the grand scheme of thing, that's a blink of the eye. And we just sort of made a commitment that as long as we're still breathing, we'll do our best to make sure his grandkid or his kids, our grandkids, don't forget him, and make sure that people don't forget him and the service and the sacrifice, and that is what we seek to do here. Now, I do a lot of other things. I talk about myself a lot, which I'm a little bit self-conscious about. I would love to be talking about many of you. That's why I've been soliciting ideas. Hey, give me an idea. I would love to have you on as a guest. I would love to talk about you, your families, your service. Help me do that. I would love it. Absent that, I'm left with talking about what's going on in my world here, and Lori and the family and whatnot. So we'll do a little bit of that tonight. But first of all, I wanted to give a shout out, a congratulations to a niece of mine who's my brother Brad's daughter, Becky, who just gave birth to a precious little daughter. And God bless her, she named her daughter after my mom, her grandmother, Bonnie. So this little precious girl is called Bonnie. And that's a tribute right there, to name somebody after somebody. And, my mom was just so fantastic, the best grandmother in the world. And to have her name live on like that. Becky, good on you for doing that. And congratulations. I'll look forward to meeting young Bonnie sometime down there in South Georgia. Well, let's see what else. Let me see who we've got in here. First of all, I always like to acknowledge who we've got joining us here. Ken's in there. Ken was on a nice trip to Europe, and Ken and Janet. And Ken, I assume you're back now, but what a great trip that looked like. I enjoyed following you. Even as I was in Japan, I was watching your posts from Germany, and just hope you had a fantastic time. Steve Shirley's in there. Hey, Steve, how you doing, buddy? Good to have you in there. My old Air Force buddy Mike Rolls in there. Hey, Mike, how you doing, buddy? Always good to see you at the reunions. Matt Aaron's in there. Matt's one of Zane's battle buddies. Hey, Matt, good to have you in there. Let's see. Mike Rockwell. Wow, how about that? So Mike Mike is a newcomer to the Speaking of Zane live stream. Mike actually works for me now. Mike is a member of my team, and I'm so glad to have him. He's an engineer. He's much smarter than I am, and he's going to make me look much better than I do. And I can't wait to have him on the team. He lives down there in Arizona, and he's coming on to be a subject matter expert for the academy that I lead. And I couldn't be more excited about that. Now, Mike is no stranger to podcasts. He has a podcast of his own that he does, and I quite enjoy it. And I hope to solicit his expertise in some other ways to benefit our academy going forward. We really hadn't talked about that, but Mike, very good to have you in there from Arizona. Ken says he got home last night. Well, Ken, that's good. I know you guys had a great time. I look forward to hearing more about that, Ken. I know it was something to do with some organization for veterans, this, that, and the other. Maybe you can tell us about that sometime here on the live stream. We would love to hear that from you. All right. Well, let's see. Memorial Day. Wow, what a day! What a heavy day Memorial Day is. I'm preaching to the choir here. Most of you all served or have had family members that served, and you understand. You understand Memorial Day and why we have Memorial Day and why it carries such a heavy weight to some more than others, perhaps. Um, but it's let me read a little bit about Memorial Day. Again, I'm preaching to the choir, but I had the opportunity last year for work. I did um, a panel, a live stream panel with some folks connected with my work that had lost loved ones or comrades um, over the years. And I took the opportunity to set the table with defining what Memorial Day is and how it came about. And if you look, you can look at a lot of places online to get the history of Memorial Day. But Memorial Day is obviously an American holiday. It's observed on the last Monday of May. That's why it's a little bit early this year because Monday is on the 27th. So we get into June before the next week. So a little bit earlier this year than sometimes, but Memorial Day was originally known as Decoration Day. And it originated in the years just following the Civil War and became an official federal holiday not until 1971. And many Americans observe Memorial Day by visiting cemeteries and memorials, and I did so today. Many of you have as well this weekend. And it kind of unofficially for our country marks the beginning of summer. Many of the schools were out this last week. Memorial Day creates a long weekend and holiday, and all that is great goodness, and sort of marks the beginning of summer. But a little bit about the history of. There's Brenda Lusk. Hey, Brenda, how are you? I think up in Michigan. Good to have you in there. The Civil War. Let me just read a little bit here. The Civil War, of course, ended in the spring of 1865. It claimed more lives than any other conflict in U.S. history and required the establishment of the country's first national cemeteries. And as you all are aware of, we do a veteran cemetery challenge every week, and we're going to go through that here in a minute. But we owe all of that to the outcome of the Civil War and the establishment of our country's first national cemeteries. And by the late 1860s, Americans in various towns and cities began holding springtime tributes to the countless fallen soldiers, and they began to decorate their graves with flowers, and they would recite prayers. It's not really 100% clear where the tradition originated. There's a lot of different communities that have independently initiated memorial gatherings like this, and some of the records show that one of the earliest Memorial Day commemorations was organized by a group of formerly enslaved people in Charleston, South Carolina, less than a month after the Confederacy surrendered in 1865. Nevertheless, in 1966, the federal government declared Waterloo, New York, as the official birthplace of Memorial Day. It's a little bit disputed, of course, but the government said, "Hey, Waterloo is the official birthplace." Then Waterloo first celebrated the day on May the 5th of 1866. And it was chosen because Waterloo hosted an annual community-wide event during which businesses closed and the residents decorated the graves of soldiers with flowers and flags. How about that? So on May the 5th, 1868, General John Logan, leader of an organization for Northern Civil War veterans, called for a nationwide day of remembrance to be held later in the month. So on the 30th of May, 1868. It was designated for the purpose of strewing flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion, and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, hamlet, churchyard all across the land, he proclaimed. So the date of Decoration Day, as he called it, was chosen because it wasn't the anniversary of any particular battle. It had no affiliation or connection to any battle that had been won by either side. And on the first Decoration Day, General James Garfield made a speech at Arlington National Cemetery. Many of you have been. I was there recently. And 5,000 participants decorated the graves of 20,000 Civil War soldiers that are buried there. Most northern states held similar commemorative events and reprised the tradition in subsequent years. And by 1890, each one had made Decoration Day an official state holiday. Now, southern states, on the other hand, continued to honor the dead in separate days all the way up until World War I. So interesting. It's just an interesting thing. You can go read all this, but for decades, Memorial Day continued to be observed on May the 30th, which was the date that General Logan had selected, remember, for Decoration Day. But in 1968, Congress passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act, which established Memorial Day as the last Monday in May. And that's what today is. Today's the last Monday in May, in order to create a 3-day weekend for federal employees. So the change went into effect in 1971, and that same law actually declared Memorial Day a federal holiday. So how about that? How about that? So it's not really fitting to say Happy Memorial Day. It's not really a happy occasion, but it is. It's an interesting holiday because it marks the end of the school year. It marks the beginning of summer. It's a long weekend. It's a festive time, and that's okay. I'm okay with it. But it is a solemn occasion where we honor those who paid the ultimate price. And we pause and we take a moment to do that. I don't think the two are diametrically opposed, and I'm not one that gets upset with people when they wish me a happy Memorial Day. Life's too short to get all wound up in that stuff. If somebody's going to wish me, thank you for your service on Memorial Day, I'm okay with that. Hey, there's ways for us to educate people about the distinction between Armed Forces Day and Memorial Day and Veterans Day, but I just don't get all wound up in that, and I'm not I'm not an a-hole about it like some people are, but it is nice as Americans to know the distinction between those things, but there's a lot of people that never learned those things. If we, the school system, we can't depend on that as being an avenue for education as it relates to a lot of these things. So it's up to us, really, but we got to be compassionate. We got to be, we can't just push people away and say, "Oh, you told me," I roll with it. And like, my boss this morning, very first thing she did this morning, and I appreciate that, early in the morning, 7 o'clock. Guy, I appreciate you for your service and your sacrifice. I'm like, I'm okay with that. Am I going to chastise her and say, this is Memorial Day for the ones that have given the ultimate price? No, I'm not gonna, because she'd made an effort to acknowledge something that many don't. So anyway, I'm getting on a soapbox here. I don't mean to, but anyway, that is Memorial Day, man. It is a solemn day, for sure. It's a day of reflection. It's a day to honor those that, hey, they were willing to get up, and in fact, they did go out and sacrifice themselves for the benefit of this country, current generations and beyond. It's an amazing thing to think, especially the greatest generation. When I think about World War II and what they did, and just an amazing thing. Anyway, so speaking of work, I was actually at my headquarters this week, and I go there often. You guys know. we took the opportunity to place a bunch of flags as a flag tribute. You guys know you place flags at the headstones of the fallen in veteran cemeteries. Well, we have a grassy area outside of our headquarters, and we place several hundred flags out there. It's just a dramatic visual and draws attention to it. It makes people wonder what the heck is Guy and those crazy veterans doing now? And we get the opportunity to explain it. And we got a nice sign up there. We got a battlefield cross. We've got a missing man table inside, and it gives us a chance to have a dialogue and educate people about why do we do this? I mean, think about it. I've got folks in the program that I lead that weren't even alive on 9/11. So how are they supposed to know? We got to be compassionate. We have to teach, right? Without an air of judgment. And anyway, that's what we did at our headquarters in St. Louis. In fact, we did it at 3 of our buildings in the area there. And it got a lot of comments, and people are like, "What is that?" And we get an opportunity to tell the story of sacrifice, and just a fantastic thing. And we've got that all up right now. Took a lot of pics. You guys probably saw on the Facebook page. And then I've got a crew of people at 3 different locations that will take all the flags down, box everything up for next year, and just a fantastic thing. I feel blessed. Our company allows us to do that. We have very patriotic leadership, and it's an amazing thing. Speaking of patriotic leadership, I had the opportunity at work. I talk about my work a lot, but you know what? I get great satisfaction in my work, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. And I have kind of a side job at my work of leading our veterans employee resource group. And I wrote an article that I've shared on the Facebook page. I've shared it on LinkedIn, shared it on other avenues, but talking about how our company accommodates those of us that continue to serve either in the Guard or the Reserve. And I found 3 great examples of young men that I know that continue to serve, and how even in their service and being away, our company accommodated and their teammates, supported them. Just some great feel good stories. Anyway, I wrote an article about it. I had some help from a young lady called Brittany, who can take the words and put them in a much better arrangement. But go check that out. I put it on the Facebook page, and you can read that. Let me know what you think about that. It was really fun to do. It's a project I started thinking about doing last November or so, and it finally culminated. And we decided it was good during the month of May, which is Military Appreciation Month, to do the article. So go read the article and let me know what you think about that. I'd appreciate it. All right. Well, geez, we did not have a Speaking of Zane last Sunday because Charlotte and I were in Japan. Wow. I'll tell you what, how many have been in Japan? Let me know in the chat if you've been to Japan or had plans to go. I'll tell you, I've never been. I've never been on that side of the Pacific, and I was blown away. It was absolutely fantastic. It was more than I expected. The Japanese are so accommodating. They are so, gosh, I don't even know how to describe them. They're pleasant. They're clean. The city, it's cleaner than Munich. If you know Munich, you know how clean Munich is. Tokyo, I mean, there's not a bit of trash on the street. They take great pride in their country, and they were very welcoming. And my daughter Charlotte was over there for a conference, and so she invited me to come over there. We spent a few days. We went to Tokyo first. We flew into Haneda. She was ahead of me, so she met me at the train. Then we took the train to our Airbnb in Tokyo. I met some of her colleagues after their conference, and then we did a little sightseeing. I had a whole day without her. She was at a conference, and I had a whole day, and I had to think about what to do. And a friend of mine, Jeff Johnston, who's a Navy veteran, I know him through the Mighty Eighth Air Force Society, the Eighth Air Force Society, lives here in Atlanta. Anyway, he spent some time in Japan. He's kind of an authority for an American, and he gave me some ideas about some things. And So when Charlotte was at her conference on, I guess it was Wednesday, I had the day to myself. So I visited the Yushukin Military Museum. Wow, what a fascinating museum. It had a lot of artifacts. The stories were phenomenal. You know that I can't go to a country without finding a military museum. And I found one on the first day. And right adjacent to the museum is the Yasukuni Shrine, and that's the Japanese shrine to their war dead. If you know anything about Japan, they have shrines and temples all over the country. Shrines as tribute to a variety of things. They have a shrine for everything. And this shrine, very sacred, is where they honor their war dead. And it was very, very moving there. And then not too far away, actually in walking distance, um, I visited the Chidoragafuchi National Cemetery. They have a national cemetery. This isn't the only one. Yokohama has one, but this one happens to be in Tokyo. And I walked over there, and it's a national cemetery dedicated to the unidentified war dead. So Lori, they had um, they had an ossuary. So Lori and I learned this term ossuary recently, and Lori looked up the definition and everything, and we figured out about what ossuary is. Um, so look that up. But the at the National Cemetery there, all the unidentified war dead are in an ossuary together. Very solemn place. But so that I was able to do all of that in the first day before, while Charlotte was still at her conference. And I appreciate my friend Jeff Johnston helping me um, or cluing me in on that, because I went right there on the train, did all three of those locations in the first day. It was fascinating. And then, of course, Charlotte and I, then she was off. And then, so we spent the next few days in Tokyo seeing all the sites you need to see in Tokyo, and just an incredible city. And I don't know how many train rides we did, but it was incredible. That the train system there, the subway system, and the above ground train system is outstanding. Rivals the tube in London. On time. You talk about on time. The Japanese are on time, buddy. If this train says it's leaving at 10:47, it's leaving at 10:47, whether you're on it or not. But appreciate that about it. But we had such a great time going around, and she had plotted out some things to do. We wound up going. We stumbled on the stadium where they had the Olympics, the most recent Olympics. That was kind of fun. And not right next door to that is where one of the Tokyo baseball teams plays their games. And there was some high school or college teams that were having a tournament or something. And there were some young ball players out and about, and they saw Charlotte and I as Americans, and they wanted us to be part of their school. They had a school project. They wanted us to be part of their video. So we helped recorded some in their video. It was just, they're so fascinating. And anyway, so we got to walk around the ballpark there where the Tokyo Yakult Swallows play. That's my new favorite team. And they were not in town. Neither were the Tokyo Giants. So we didn't get to see a ball game. We could have planned a little better, I guess, but we didn't get to see a ball game. But we saw the stadium, and we went into the shop where they sell the merch, and had a good time there. It was just it was incredible. I can't say enough good things about Japan. And then we left Tokyo, and we Ken's a sharp young man. I see. I try to set the stage there and see how the bites go, and Ken was the first to bite there. But we left Tokyo, and Charlotte knew that I wanted to take the bullet train called the Shinkansen. And the Shinkansen runs between Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, and it goes all the way down to Hiroshima, Dad, and beyond. It goes even beyond Hiroshima. And my dad was stationed at Iwakuni when he was attached to the Midway, and Iwakuni is not too far from Hiroshima. But anyway, so we took the bullet train, which was absolutely fantastic. It's like an airliner on the inside, except with twice as much leg room. And just what a great experience. The bullet train, the Shinkansen, from Tokyo to Kyoto runs about 2.5 hours. And you run right past Mount Fuji. So you probably saw, I got some nice pics of Fuji on the right. It was not obscured with clouds like it often is, but just a outstanding experience. I mean, it was just incredible. You stop a couple of different places on the way, but I clocked us at 180 miles per hour. That was our top speed, 180 mile per hour. And, but it was fabulous. And then, so we stop at a couple of places, stop at Kyoto, and then go on to Osaka, which is where we were staying. So we got off the train in Osaka. We were a little bit early. We stored our bags in a baggage storage place for like $1. I mean, the dollar's doing good against the yen right now. We had a really good time, but so we stored our stuff and we went to Osaka Castle. We did all kind of stuff in the afternoon before we ever made it to our Airbnb. And then our Airbnb was walking distance from the train station, and just a beautiful place. Both of the Airbnbs we stay in were fantastic, modern. And so anyway, we stayed in Osaka and did all that. Then the next day we did a day trip. We took the bullet train again from Osaka to Kyoto. Takes like 17 minutes. And so we get to Kyoto and we do a whole day. Charlotte had booked us a walking tour. So we visited shrines and all kind of stuff in Kyoto. It's a fascinating city. It's amazing how different, we think Japan's all the same, but Tokyo is different from Kyoto, is different from Osaka. It's an amazing thing how different the different geos are. But anyway, so we had a good time there, and then back to Osaka, and we had just such a fantastic time. And then bullet train back from Osaka to Tokyo. So we had another 2.5 hour Shinkansen trip back to Tokyo, and we make our way to the Haneda Airport, which is one of the two international airports in Tokyo. And now we got to get back home. Well, she's good to go. She's in first class for United because she's there for work, and I'm hoping to get on a plane because I'm going standby. And anyway, I ended up leaving about an hour and a half before her on a different flight because I had more seats available. And as it turns out, I had an empty seat, and the guy by the window was a Marine, a Marine vet. And we just chatted and drank beer the whole time, me and him. And he was just coming from Okinawa. He was an electrician. He's a civilian electrician now, working for the government. And he was heading back to his home in Pennsylvania. And he had started his day in Okinawa, made his way to Tokyo. We had a really good time chatting all the way. I stayed awake the whole time. It's 12, 13-hour flight on the way back. And I stayed awake. He slept and snored a little bit, but I stayed awake most of the time. But well, all the time. I stayed awake the whole time because I wanted to be able to sleep when I got home. But anyway, that was a good trip. That was Japan. If you ever get a chance to go to Japan, go to Japan. It was fantastic. I get home, and Lori was kind enough to do my laundry while I slept, and I went to St. Louis the next day, and that's when we did all the Memorial Day preparation. I had a lot of regular work stuff to do, but we did our Memorial Day stuff there. And then I got back home Friday evening. And so I've been home since Friday. And so now I'm heading out again tomorrow. I'm actually I'm flying to San Francisco, but I'm actually going to Santa Clara. If you know that whole Silicon Valley area, you know about Santa Cruz, Santa Clara, San Jose, San Francisco. I'm going to be going to get some training, actually 2 days worth of training, so I can bring that back and teach my students at the NVIDIA headquarters there in Santa Clara, staying in San Jose, flying to San Francisco, staying in San Jose, but going to class in Santa Clara, all close together. But so I'll do that and be home, taking the red eye home Thursday night, Friday morning. So I'll get back to Atlanta Friday morning. I couldn't get back any sooner, and I didn't want to wait any longer. I need to get back, and I got some other things to do at work on Friday. So I'll sleep on the way home and do a regular work day on Friday. And then I'm home for just the weekend, and then I fly out to Las Vegas on Monday, which I think is the 3rd, for Cisco Live, which is one of a major conference. I've probably been to it 20 times, but I got a very particular purpose to go this year. So I'll do that, come home Thursday, I believe, and then I should be done then for a little bit until we go to London, which is toward the end of July. Anywho, how about that for catching everybody up on what the heck has been going on around here? Well, let's see. I did, today, today's a day you barbecue, you listen to ball games, drink beer, all that stuff. I did a little of that. I went to the cemetery today and visited Zane. Had some great conversations with some people there. Just some great people that said, "Hey, is this family member of yours?" And just great conversations. And I'll tell you what, I did not expect so many people to be at the cemetery today. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. I'm so glad to see it, and I got a chance to spend some time out there. With Zane, of course, and then there's some other regulars that I visit when I'm there. But it was a good time. Got home and did the normal stuff. Cooked the barbecue, hamburgers and hot dogs. Our little grandson Everett Zane is here. Everett is named for Zane, his uncle. But so we did all that and listen to the Braves game, the day game today. Braves are not doing so great. I didn't hear the end of the game, but the Braves were down to the Nationals, 8-4, 8-5. Dad can probably tell me. I had to turn it off, but I had my 1963 Zenith Transoceanic radio out on the back deck, which I love. I have no choice now but to listen to the Braves because you can't get them on Xfinity anymore because of the confrontation with Bally Sports anyway. But anyway, Braves aren't doing too good. 6 or 7 games behind the Phillies right now, in second place in the NL East. Not doing too great. Anyway, hat of the week. You guys know I'm a hat guy. Here comes somebody. Come here and make a little.
Were you guys talking about me?
We're talking about this little guy right here. This is my grandson, Everett. His middle name is Zane. So we call him Everett Zane, or sometimes we call him Evie. But his mama, Hannah, is Zane's little sister. And Hannah decided to honor her brother Zane by naming her son Everett Zane. How about that, Zane?
Wait.
How about that? Do you like being named after your uncle? Yeah. Good. Well, tell everybody hi, and that you're sleeping over with your Grammy. And school is out. And what grade are you going into? Second grade. See, he's got a fresh haircut. He usually goes with Granddaddy, but he didn't get to this time. He went. I think his mama took him. But anyway, put your head up here. All right. Tell everybody good night.
Good night.
All right. See you later.
If I put my head this way, then my head goes this way.
Interesting.
No. I'm waving it that way, not that way.
Well, that's because of the camera angle, I guess.
I'm waving it that way.
I don't know what to tell you, buddy.
I'm waving it. I'm waving it here.
Okay.
Well, I put my stomach here.
He's got
head.
Show your teeth. He's missing 2 front teeth right now, so he's that age, 7 years old. All right. Well, Ken says hi, and Mike Rockwell is laughing at you, Everett. So
Wait,
how
who?
about that?
Oh, you want?
Okay.
Don't you dare laugh at me.
Well, I'll laugh at you all day long. Okay, hat of the week, hat of the week, hat of the week. The hat of the week always has something to do with what the heck is going on around here. And Ken zeroed in on it already. Ken and Daryl are always the best at understanding what's coming for the hat of the week. The hat of the week, you see the YS, that's the Yokolt
This is the hat of
Swallows.
the week.
Show it, show the front of it, Everett. That's the Yokolt Swallows. Now in Japan, in Japanese baseball, they're corporate sponsored. So Yokolt is a local company. They make these probiotic drinks and stuff. You can find them in Publix and Kroger, but they're the Tokyo Yokolt Swallows is who they are. And that's the ballpark Charlotte and I visited. So that's my new favorite Japanese baseball team. They're not doing the best. They're about third place in their division right now, but I'm going to follow them for the rest of the season. I wish we'd have got to see a ball game. Japanese love their baseball. They absolutely do. Okay, well, let's see. This week in military history, obviously, I've talked about this before. May is Military Appreciation Month, and we're right at the end of May now. So hopefully you have appreciated the military during this month. And here's a solemn this week in military history item. I didn't mention it a couple of weeks ago, but on May the 21st, I think I got that right. It's either May 21st or May the 24th of 2007, there were two soldiers in Zane's unit, 369 of the 3rd ID, that were killed in action. Maybe John, if Johnny's in there or Matt, they can help me out here. It was either May 21st or May 24th, and they were both killed in action by an IED, and very unfortunate circumstance. Sergeant Butcher, Steve Butcher, he's buried at Arlington, actually. I've visited him. And Specialist
Hello.
Daniel Cagle, they were both killed in the same roadside bomb.
Hello.
And help me out here.
Hello.
I think
Hello.
Everett.
Can you scroll this more down to see?
That's as far down as it goes, buddy. So Daniel Cagle, he was from California, and I believe he's buried in California. But I've seen Stephen Butcher, who's at Arlington. Okay, well, let's see. How about a veteran cemetery challenge? So for those of you that maybe haven't tuned in every week, we started visiting, Lori and I, probably would not have done this hadn't it been for placing our own son in one, but we started being hypersensitive to veteran cemeteries. And I remember we were driving from Atlanta to Texas to visit our daughter Charlotte at Texas A&M, and we were stopping at veteran cemeteries, national cemeteries along the way. That was our first real interest in that, and we I don't know, we felt compelled to do that, and we did that on that trip. And then we ended up challenging you all to do that alongside us. And wow, what a great little exercise that has been over the years. And you guys have certainly stepped up to the challenge. This week, I've got Daryl down for a couple of visits to Jefferson Barracks because he lives there, and his wife Wanda is buried there. So I know since we met last, he has visited at least twice, maybe more than that. I've got my dad down. He's at least a couple of times a week. I've got him down for 4 times this week because my mom is buried there at Evergreen. And Jim Miller, I don't know if Jim's in here with us tonight, but Jim made a visit to Omaha National Cemetery. I believe it was today, but he couldn't get in because the line was so long, but I'm going to count it anyway. And then I mentioned that I made the visit to the Japanese National Cemetery, so I'm going to count that one. That's a new one for us. And then today I made the visit to Georgia National. And then my good friend Amy, I've got her down for Omaha National, where her husband Roy is buried. She also posted the pics of our crew member Todd Vanderwerken and others that are buried there at Nebraska National Cemetery. And she and Barbara, her sister Barb, made a visit to Alliance, Nebraska. And they went to, Steve, tell me if you've been to this one or not. They went to, it's called Nebraska Veteran Cemetery in Alliance, Nebraska, and posted some great pics of that. And then Amy or Barb, if you're in there, can you tell me where, or maybe somebody else knows? I know that you all visited Ann Belau today. Ann is somebody that many of us flew with. She was an instructor of mine and unfortunately passed of cancer. I think she's in Bellevue, but I don't know which cemetery it is. But I've got Amy down for a visit there. And all right, so Steve's got some he's going to add here. Steve did Omaha National, and of course the Offutt Cemetery, which is right there on the base near the back gate there by where Hams used to be. Thank you for that, Steve. I'm going to add those. Let me add that to my total. Wish Amy was in there. I'm not quite sure. Maybe Steve knows where Ann Belau rests. I'm pretty sure it's in Bellevue, but I'm not sure if it's the same cemetery where Deborah Miller is at or not. But Jim, maybe you know. Let's see. And then Terry Bass made a visit. Hey, Steve, Shirley, I was wondering if you've been here. Steve or Terry Bass made a visit this week to a cemetery in Warrensburg, Missouri. Warrensburg, Missouri. So I've got that one down. So if I total all that up, we had a good week for cemetery visits. How about that? We are visiting and honoring those who have gone before us. Wow, in my book, that's a good thing to do. Don't you think? If I add that all up, we had 17 visits this week. That means this small little group of people that gather on Sunday nights to listen to this guy bloviate. Combined, we made 17 visits and acknowledged the sacrifice of those who have gone before us. In my book, that's pretty doggone good. And had a couple of new cemeteries in there since we last met. And if we total everything up, get this, Mike and others, since we started tracking this a few years ago, we have done that 1,184 times to 188 different cemeteries. How about that? I keep saying I'm going to do this, and I have not done it, but Saturday afternoons when I get caught up on some things. So it's going to have to be a Saturday afternoon. I've got a map where I've got all of our visits plotted on a map, and I've got a lot of new ones that I have not added to the map, and I need to do that. Somebody hold me accountable there. Okay. Yep, Steve. Yeah, Bellevue. I know it's Bellevue. Yeah. I just can't remember if it's which cemetery it is there, but Amy will tell us next week. All right. Well, how about the Think a Vet Challenge? So we started doing this thing too. This happened. This also happened on our trip. That same trip where Lori and I drove to visit our daughter at Texas A&M. I don't know, what has this been, Lori, 5 years ago or something, 6 years? And I met a Vietnam vet in the airport, and I just struck up a conversation and told him thanks. And I came up with the idea of on Sunday night reporting that to you guys. And then it kind of snowballed from there. And over the years, throughout the course of our week, whether it's at work, at school, at church, at play, or whatever, and we interact with a veteran or a first responder, we tell each other about it, and we capture it, and we chronicle it, and we celebrate it, and we acknowledge it, and we tabulate it. And that's what we do every Sunday night when we get to this part of the live stream. So let me tell you what I think I know, and you guys can jump in and add any along the way. But Daryl had some thank yous this week. And Daryl, tell me if I get this right, but he had 3 Army vets that he thanked. He had an active duty Army soldier he thanked. He had a Navy vet called Larry that he had a conversation with, and an Army vet called Dennis. How about that? He even knows the names. That's good in my book. So, Daryl, thank you for letting us know about that. My Aunt Paula, who lives down in the Tampa area, she is a patriot through and through. She thanked 5 veterans on Saturday at breakfast. She even broke it down: Army, Air Force, Navy. Then she had 5 at breakfast today: 3 Army, a Coast Guard, and a Marine. And one was from Korean War, and the others from Vietnam. So Aunt Paula, thank you for that. My Aunt Paula also posted a picture where they set up a missing man table at their church. How about that? What a great thing. And let's see. I mentioned I had that the Marine on my flight from Tokyo. I had 3 Air Force veterans at in St. Louis, and then 4 Army veterans. 4, I think it was actually 5 Army veterans. They all helped place our flag tribute, and most of them I had not met before, so it was great to meet them. One was a Army young lady that served in the Army. That's always good. And then my dad's in here tonight, by the way. Hey, Dad. My dad has actually got 2 of his great granddaughters visiting for the summer. They showed up over the weekend. Actually, they didn't show up. My dad went and got them. I think he drove to Birmingham. They live in Memphis. They met in Birmingham. My dad brought them home. They got a pool at the house, so they've been doing all kinds of stuff. But my dad took them to the Memorial Day service in the little town of Fitzgerald, Georgia today. So how about that? So Dad had the Air Force gate guard. I think that's right. Marine Corps vet, 2 Army vets, 2 Marine Corps vets, another Air Force vet, a Navy vet, and then the local sheriff. He did all that, most of that at today's Memorial Day ceremony. So thanks for chronicling that. Steve-O, I'm going to add yours in here. Steve had 2 Army. So I'll up our total. Where's Dave's Surface? Hey, Dave, good to have you in there. Dave, did you move to Florida? Dave, I know Dave from Savannah. Dave and I, Dave actually worked for a customer of mine when I was working for Cisco Systems. I found out we figured out each other were in the military. Dave was a Ranger, actually, Army Ranger. The goofy thing about Dave is he was actually stationed at RAF Lakenheath while I was at Mildenhall. It's a weird thing. And anyway, we stayed in touch over the years. And Dave, I thought you were still in Savannah, but maybe you moved to Florida. Okay, Rock, good to have you in there. Rock, he's got a daughter with a birthday, plus he has a daughter that graduated this week, I believe. That's right. But thanks for stopping by. I look forward to chatting with you. I think you and I are scheduled to chat tomorrow. All right, good stuff. All right, Matt, we'll see you, buddy. I'm going to wrap it up here. That's pretty much it. So if I add up the thank yous, 35 for the week, get this, 2,773 thank yous since we started tracking them. We're not hunting veterans, but we're interacting with them, and we're letting them know that we appreciate it. And we track it and tell each other about it and celebrate it. Oh, you're down in Kissimmee. Okay, well, I get down there every now and then to Tampa, Orlando. Maybe I'll have to look you up there, Dave. I'll let you know. Lori and I get down to Tampa. I'd love to have you come over to my Warriors place, Dave, sometime in Tampa. And I would love to host you there, in fact. I think you'd find that an amazing place. I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about it, but you can look it up. It's called My Warriors Place. It's in Ruskin, Florida. You don't need me to be there to go visit, but I'd love to show you around. Lori and I have spent a lot of time there and are good friends with the owner and founder. who is a Gold Star mother. But look forward to that, Dave. Sounds good. Ken, let's see. Ken says, did you see mine? Let's see. Ken. 20 thank yous since we were together last. Okay. All right. Well, outstanding, Ken. So I'm going to have to, I guess I'll have to up our thank yous from 35 to 55. And I'm going to add, I'm going to go from 73 to 93. Wow. How about that, Ken? That was a good run that you had there. I assume some of those were while you were in Germany, right? Good stuff. Thank you for doing that, Ken, and telling us about it for sure. That's great, Dave. I appreciate that. I sure will. Let me jot that down. In fact, here, because when I close the session out, I might lose that. But you kept your 912 number. I've kept my 912 number too, Dave. Doesn't seem to be any reason to change numbers these days. You just keep a number, and I've kept my 912 for 20 plus years. But okay, Dave. Yeah, I'll look forward to connecting with you for sure. Hope you're doing well. All right, team. That is it for this edition of Speaking of Zane. I sure do appreciate all of y'all for showing up and listening to me ramble at times, listening to me bloviate a lot, and listening to me hopefully every now and then talk about Zane and talk about the service and sacrifice that our military has made over the years. And wow, there's no more appropriate day than Memorial Day to acknowledge and celebrate that sacrifice. So thank you all for showing up a day late. I normally do Sunday night. It's Monday night. I know it, but thanks for sticking with me and give me a little grace there. But I will look forward to seeing you all next Sunday night for Speaking of Zane, telling you about my trip to California. Maybe I'll meet some veterans out there. Who knows? But we'll look forward to it. Thank you all. God bless. And hope you had a very contemplative and reflective Memorial Day. And we'll see you all later.